I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here, back in with another video, and this is going to be another update on the Starkiller base mock build series. This is episode 62. It has been so long since I've done one of these. It's almost been 5 months since I've done a Starkiller base update, which is just way too long for this. If you guys haven't seen my videos where I've kind of talked a little bit about why I haven't been so active on YouTube lately, to put it in this shortly, school basically happened. It was quite a challenge figuring out a way to balance work with school with YouTube, and those other two things basically ended up taking precedent. However, that is going to change for the near future. We have summer coming up, which means I have so much more time to work on mocks, and this mock specifically. And also, a few things have changed since the last time I talked to you guys about this build. For one, the circumstances around this build has changed. We know that Brick Rodeo here in Houston is going to be happening July 22nd through 25th, which means I have an actual deadline for this mock now. When I first started this, I didn't really have a deadline. It was just going to be finished whenever it got done. But now we have an actual time where I need to have this mock done by, which means that I have a lot of work to do, and this is for better and for worse. I'd say for worse just because, I'm going to have to work really hard to try to get this build done, but for better because it's going to actually motivate me to get the build done. I am just so ready to see this mock done. It is such an ambitious project. I honestly don't know why I even tried to do this, but I think once it's all said and done, this will be a super awesome thing that I can show off to the world, and something that I can be incredibly proud of that I actually did get to completion. So that means I have a little bit over 2 months to get this mock done, which it's a lot of time and it's not a lot of time. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible for me to finish this up. I think it's kind of been understated how much of this mock I have gotten done. But I mean, we're gonna see. I'm basically going to end up writing a schedule, if you will, for the things I need to have done and when I need to have them done by. And I'm going to try to adhere to that as best as possible. And then once the time comes around, we'll see how far along the mock is. I know worst case scenario, if the mock is not 100% complete done before I go to Brick Rodeo, I'm going to take everything I have. I'm not going to not take it because it's not 100% done. But I do really want to get this mock done. So I appreciate those of you who have come with me this far. It's crazy that so many people, who were here at the very beginning of when this mock started are just not, watching my channel right now. Maybe not even necessarily fans of Lego right now. It was just that long ago when I started this project. But the cool thing is there's a lot of people that we've picked up along the way. And I'm super happy if you're watching this video right now. You haven't given up hope that Starkiller will one day be finished. And I hope you guys really enjoy the progress that I got done, because I think you're going to be pretty impressed with the visuals we're going to have for this build in this episode. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into this week's update. All right, guys, we are back with more Starkiller base. Whew, feels good to be showing you off some more of my mock creations. This is so long overdue, but hey, better late than never. So you can see I've gotten a considerable amount of work done on this section specifically. Last time you saw this, there was no wall behind it. There was not that section over there. It was literally just this building kind of sitting on its own on this base plate. And we finally got almost all of this section done. If you're curious as to how this is going to work out, if you imagine if I turn this way, you will be looking at the side of the build. This will be one side of the trench, and then that wall will kind of represent the other side of the trench. And then those sections over there, those pipes that I built forever ago, are actually going to lay between them right here. So you'll have this wall, pipes, another wall over there, and this is going to go basically 3 gray base plates deep into the mock. And then right after that, there's going to be the big oscillator building sitting behind it. The idea is that, the X-Wings will fly through this trench. There will be, I don't know if I'm going to actually build the opening, but in the canon of the mock, there would be the opening that Poe flies through to get into the oscillator building, shoot the building up, and ultimately cause the destruction of Starkiller base. But let's talk a little bit more about the details that I put into this, because it's a pretty decent-sized chunk of the build. One of the things I was really happy about were these little vent sections right here. Just somewhat of a unique technique right here. I really just looked over a bunch of different reference photos to find just how I can spice up these wall sections in here to not just make them large slabs of dark gray. So I'm trying to try a few new things out, things I've never done before, to really make this look just visually interesting. And I thought that these really worked right here. Another thing I added were these scala dishes up here with the jumper plates kind of connected to them. I thought that made for an interesting looking design. If we rotate this bad boy over to this side, this might be the part of this that I'm most happy with other than this building. I really do like the building. But this right here, I think looks really cool. So this is basically me trying to recreate these little sections of the trench right here. You can see that they kind of slant right there. They jut out of the wall, and then on the edges, you can see that they're kind of rounded. So that's why I wanted to use these curved bricks. You can see that they are just lining and going all the way down to the bottom here, and I also added some details in there. If you're wondering why these are all colorful, well, the first reason is getting this 1x4 curved brick is super expensive. I think the cheapest one on Bricklink is like 20 bucks. I'm not even kidding. So what I'm deciding to do instead is to use a bunch of these 1x2s. It's a newer piece. It's not yet super cheap on Bricklink, but it is on Bricks and Pieces for a decent price. So I ordered 200 of those, so I'll have enough of those 1x2s to, basically finish this, and then the other 3 of these that are going to be in this trench section. I found this 1x4 brick right here with a sticker on it. It has a cool little console on it. I have no idea what set it's from, but I thought it fit in pretty well there. Bricks and Pieces, for whatever reason, is taking forever to ship right now. It said 5 to 7 weeks, which is crazy. Bricks and Pieces is typically not supposed to take that long. That's the kind of time frame you'd expect for a pick-a-brick order, but Bricks and Pieces is usually maybe like 10 days, so I guess they're swamped with Bricks and Pieces orders, which really sucks because I was hoping I could get all this finished up pretty soon. But we're going to be playing the waiting game, so until then, you're just going to have to deal with one side being colorful, the other side just not being there, and the top being white. But yeah, I love the way this section curves around. It was kind of interesting to try to get these to match the contour of these slopes in here, for them to lay pretty flush in there, but I'm happy with the way it came out. A lot of greebling is being employed in this trick session, if you can't tell. We got some up there. One of the more difficult things about doing this build is just remembering this is supposed to be like snow covered, right? Like there should be areas that are covered in snow. So like it's easy to get carried away just building in a bunch of dark gray, but you have to remind yourself like, oh, like, there should be remnants of snow kind of all throughout this. So that's one thing I'm trying to keep reminding myself of. If we move back over to this section, this is basically where the snow is going to lead up to the trench section. So if you'll imagine, the snow sections I've been building on the outside of Starkiller base, there's going to be, a few of those base plates between them. But this is kind of what bridges the gap from this trench to just the standard sections of snow. And we got a nice little section in here where there's going to be some piping. I thought I had tons of these 2x2 round bricks from Fardos. I apparently didn't, but these are basically going to run through here. They're going to be covered by these macaroni pieces, and this pattern is going to extend basically all the way until the oscillator building. So I think that's going to make for a really nice looking design, and also just doing a little bit of rock work right here to spice it up, give it the old razzle dazzle. So that's pretty much all we got here. I really do love this section. Having this wall behind the building really does bring it together, which brings us over to this wall right here. So obviously the trenches are going to be 3 gray base plates deep, which means that I'm basically gonna have to build like 6 wall sections like that. So it's a lot. Even just getting this one section done was quite the task. You'll notice that it's not completely finished. I was planning on adding this dark red pipe going all the way down, and I just threw these white bricks in here to make sure I had the spacing correctly. Like those are not going to be there at all. And then I remembered the pipe is actually not even supposed to be on this wall. This wall right here, that's basically going to be opposite to this section, is going to be mostly bare for no other reason than I want to put like some sort of ship in this area. And I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me to put too much detail in there, too many things jutting out. that might interfere with it. The other reason is that this section actually has lights built into it. So you can see I have these holes right here. There's going to be some LEDs poking out of there. And that actually is accurate. Some of these walls in Starkiller base have lights, basically spotlights coming down from in there. So I think it's going to make for a pretty nice aesthetic. So I'm going to actually take this pipe off of this. It's actually not going to be too difficult, thankfully, just the way I built it. The pipes aren't going to be until the next layer of walls. But the next thing I'm going to do is actually just try to get this built up and sitting in there. That way we can basically have 2 walls. I'm going to have to build another one of these, which is, that's going to take some time. But I do, at least by the end of this video, want to have at least 1 layer of the trench mostly done, pending parts coming in, where you'll have a wall, pipes, and then another wall on the opposite side. And if we're feeling adventurous, maybe we can even get 2 layers done. Ultimately, I really just want to get these trenches done. So let's go ahead, start building this up, get this wall angled where it should be, and then I'll check back in with you guys. All right, guys, you can see we have the wall fully connected here. It's looking pretty incredible. There's some, I don't know, a nice balance between having some details in there, but still not going overboard with the detail in these wall sections. Push that over. And we also got this section built up right here. Once again, took quite some time, but I think I incorporated some nice details in here. I love this piping section right here with this like sign piece that you just kind of click in there. Makes for a pretty cool looking detail. If I can do this with one hand, oh God. There we go. It's all good. And I got some snow detail in here, kind of a similar piping detail right there. And it gets a little bit more simple as you go up to the top. And then we have a little antenna up at the very top. So that looks pretty cool. As you could expect, we still don't have the piping going through there. I just have not received those pieces yet. Still keeping hope that they will come in before the end of this episode, but we'll see how that works out. Over here towards the back, I went ahead and threw some snow back there, and I did not tile this section off yet. I have all the pieces for it, it's just something I haven't gotten around to doing. And then that's like the back side of this little section right here. So altogether, I think everything is looking quite exquisite. I think when you line these up, or at least, you know, take a look at these next to each other, you get a decent feel for how the trench is going to be looking. And before the end of the episode, I'll definitely set the pipes down here between it so you can get a better idea. But this is essentially what you can come to expect for the trenches. These will be maybe a little bit further apart from each other. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty awesome looking section of the build. I think it's going to be unlike any other section that I've incorporated into this build, which is always fun. The other thing that I still need to do is add the lights in here. I realized I didn't have any LEDs or the specific sized ones that I needed to go in here. So I went ahead and placed an order for that. That almost assuredly will be here before the end of this episode. So obviously stay tuned, watch the entire video, and you'll see this section illuminated. And the last thing that I was working on over here are, well, this little doohickey right here, if you're wondering, what the heck is this? Well, I'm basically trying to recreate this little tower right here with a light in it. And you can see there's like a little opening right there. I don't think it's a window. I don't think there's people in there. It's probably some energy related thing, but I wanted to incorporate it into the build. So that's what I've been working on right here. It took me quite some time to come up with this design to get this to look, you know, as rounded as it does. It's not a perfect circle. It's not really meant to be a perfect circle, but I did still want it to look sleek in a way. And I think I've achieved that. I think these arch pieces right here really help get the aesthetic of that window, that viewport, or just that opening, wherever the heck that thing is supposed to be. That's what this is going to be representing. It's not going to be super tall. I'll probably only have it come up to like right here in the build because I want to have a ship somewhere in this general area. And if this is too tall, it'll almost assuredly get in the way. But that's going to be sitting right here. This is really a good stopping point for me. I just wanted to make sure I had, you know, the angles correct with getting the curvedness going around here. I wanted to make sure I could implement this little opening right here somehow. And at this point, it's just a matter of getting the pieces I need to finish this off. So went ahead and placed an order for that as well. I'm going to need tons of these curved slopes right here on the edges, tons of these cheese slopes in dark bluish gray. So we got tons of those on the way. And once that's finished, it'll basically be sitting somewhere right here on this base plate. So super excited about that. I think for now I've reached a decent stopping point for this first kind of slice of the trenches, basically these first groups of base plates. I think what I'm going to start working on next, because at this point I'm just waiting for parts to finish off certain sections on both of these. And then I'm going to work on that second layer, basically the walls that sit behind both of these. Those are almost going to be identical walls, but there's going to be kind of a cool little detail. There's like a bridge that goes over them, which will be super fun to try to implement, and lights are going to be coming from that as well. So I'm actually super excited to work on that. It'll be nice because once I get it, design down, it'll basically be just flipping it for the other side. So that's what I'm going to get started on. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. Let me figure out how I'm going to do it, and then I'll come back with the game plan. All right, guys, as you can see here, we have these two walls done for the Starkiller base trenches. They're more or less the same design. Some small things are changed up between them just to give it a little bit of differentiation, but you can see both of them are sporting this giant little piece of machinery that sticks out right here. That is actually something that I was trying to replicate from the films. Let me show you guys a screenshot right here. Right here on the wall, you can see this is basically the thing I was trying to integrate into the wall. You can see that the one I built is probably a little bit bigger than this is right here, but I don't know, it still works. I think that it helps kind of give this wall a little bit of its own identity, especially compared to that one, which is pretty bare. This one has the building right there. I think these two are going to be basically right there and right there, and I'm pretty happy with it. I really did like incorporating the piping in here, using those like macaroni pipe pieces. That's such a great piece. I love that Lego piece so much, and it's always fun when I get the chance to incorporate it into a build. Also have these fins right here. I just love that design for any type of greebling. I think it always comes out pretty nicely. And then just some extra stuff that I kind of added, like these panel pieces right here, just give the wall a little bit more extra detail. And you can also see we have this dark red pipe right here. Unfortunately, I ran out of the pieces. Well, I didn't necessarily even run out. I ordered a bunch of these to be able to do both of these, but only half of them came in, which is why I only could do it on this wall. So we're gonna have to wait for the next update to actually get the pipes built on that wall. But all in all, super happy with this progress. And my next step, and what'll actually be the last step for this week's update, is going to be to basically connect these on some base plates, build the top section up here like these have, above that, and we'll actually be able to get a pretty good look at the trenches with a little bit of depth. So far, we only have, just this slice right here, but we'll actually be able to go 2 base plates deep into the trench. The trench, when it's finished, is going to be 3 base plates deep, but I think that being able to see this thing at least 2 base plates deep before the end of this update, I'll be super happy with that progress, and I'm really excited to see the way it's going to look myself. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the top sections on either sides. I don't know if I'll tie them off yet. I'm still thinking, like, I don't know, maybe I want to add some more rock work or whatever in the snow right there, so I'm probably not going to worry about that, kind of the same way that I did the top of that one over there. But we'll see how it turns out, so let's go ahead and do it. And here we are. Take a look at this trench section, guys. I am so excited to finally see this much of it all together. There's still a few things that I need to get worked on before I can even call even this section complete, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in this section. But I just want to take a second to appreciate just the scale of this thing. Whenever I decided I want to incorporate a trench into this build, I knew it was going to have to be big. It was going to have to be big enough to accommodate these full-size minifig scale ships in there. And I'm mostly able to accomplish that. I think that the trench maybe could be a little bit deeper, but I'm already building, over a foot off the table, and this is basically going to be the height of the MOC. Once we get outside the base, that's going to have to be super tall, literally just to accommodate this. So I'm not going to fret too much about it not being maybe as deep as it could be. I still do think these minifig size ships in here fit this pretty well. So let's first talk about some of the things I got done. Well, one, you can see that both of these rear walls are completed and mounted up where they should be. So those things are good to go. I did also start working on these top sections right here. You guys can see those. And I didn't go ahead and tie those off, like as I mentioned before. I think I still want to think about maybe some rock work or other things I want to incorporate into those sections. So I figured, why tie that off just to perhaps end up like deciding not to have certain tiles. I didn't want to end up ripping off tiles if I didn't have to. So for now, that's just what it's going to look like. Definitely want to have that done though by next week's update, because I really would love to see just the white here and then the dark gray trench and then the white on the other side. Another thing that I'm going to have to finish up is the bottom section down here. You can see that literally this part right here is tiled off, but there's still a bunch of that light gray and those studs poking through. I'm going to have to cover it with some tiles. I have a bunch of tiles. I'm basically holding off on doing this bottom section until I get the walls built up, because I don't know if I have enough tiles to do, you know, this entire ground as well as the walls. I pretty much perpetually at this point have tiles on the way from pickup break. So we'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to use my 1x8 tiles that I ordered to cover this up, because the 2x2 ones I do prefer for the walls. So we'll see about that. I went ahead and propped up an X-Wing and a First Order TIE Fighter here to give you guys a little action shot of what this trench is going to look like. And I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, this was the scale I was going for. The ships look good in there, all that good stuff. And before someone points it out, yes, I know that it's not the X-Wing that's supposed to be there, but I wanted to use that because it's basically the most accessible Resistance X-Wing, at least that I have right now, and I wanted to just make sure the sizing and everything worked out. And of course, once again, to give you guys an actual action shot. You'll notice that I did do the piping here. I got those pipes pieces in, those 2x2 cylinder bricks, so those are good to go, and it's like that on both sides. One of the things you'll also notice is there's this gap right here. I basically left this open because there's essentially like a little catwalk that goes above the trench. It's going to start here, and it's going to go all the way across and then end on that side. So that's one of the reasons that I might end up lowering that X-Wing a little bit. Like, I'm not going to use a pick or brick cups. I want to probably just use some actual Lego clear wall panel pieces, but I think the X-Wing I might lower a little bit just to make sure there's enough clearance between that top catwalk section and wherever the uppermost section of that X-Wing might end up being. So I think that'll look pretty awesome once that's done, especially since there are some lights that actually shine down from the catwalk. I think that'll be really fun to see. And I do also still need to incorporate the lights over here. That's just something I didn't get to. Really wanted to just get, you know, a decent chunk of this trench built up. I want to be able to show you guys a trench that was basically 2 base plates deep, and for the most part we were able to do that, so I'm super happy with that. But that's really what the trench section is looking like right now, guys. I think that the wall details on those 2 new walls look awesome, especially kind of contrasting with the building here and maybe the more plain wall right here. I just love the way that looks protruding out of the wall. And moving forward, we're going to, of course, extend the trench one more great base plate deep into the MOC. That'll be the entire length of the trench, and I have some pretty interesting things planned for back there. There's basically going to be a little turret section right there, and that's going to be a pretty intricate build on its own. I'm leaving that side mostly bare, if for no other reason than just leave some room for the inside of this. Like, I think if you look at the actual Starkiller base, you know, this building, there should be another building on the opposite side. But I knew I wanted a ship here, so I didn't want like the building and the ship crammed between the 2 buildings. So that's kind of the design philosophy I went with for why the turret is down there. I knew I wanted them on opposite sides and as far away from each other as possible, so there's just enough breathing room in here for the ships that I plan to put in here. But yeah, that's really all I got for you guys this week. Hope that you have gotten some sort of excitement over this trench making as much project. I hope you guys are excited to see this trench making as much progress as I've been able to get done on it, and I still have some bricks and pieces orders that need to come in before I can get this 100% done, but I'm hoping by next update I'll have that extra row of base plates back there good to go with those walls, that turret section, and we can basically be almost completely done with the trench outside the parts that I just have no choice but to wait on. Before we go to the end of the video, I do just want to give you guys maybe a few more views of the trench just so you can get an idea of just the scale of this thing and what it's going to look like. I particularly love this view. This is very reminiscent of like A New Hope and even The Force Awakens when you actually see the ships flying through the trenches here. This scale can work. This scale is definitely going to work out for this MOC. And this is still, like I always say, just a small section of the build. There's still so many other facets of this MOC, and I really, really cannot wait to see them all come together. So that's all I got for you guys this week. Let's go ahead and move to the outro of the video. And that's going to finish the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out Starkiller base for the first time in almost half a year. Let me know in the comment section what you're thinking about the progress so far on this build, how you're feeling about the trench section. Are you excited to finally see the trench section done? So basically, I have my finals coming up this week, and after that, I can clear my hands of school for the next 3 or 4 months, which means a lot of my time is going to be dedicated to Starkiller. What that means is for the next week, my plan is going to be to completely finish the trench section. There's still some parts that, I ordered from Bricks and Pieces that probably just won't be here, but I'm basically going to get everything that I can possibly get done with the parts that I can, get a hold of in a reasonable amount of time finished up, which means that I think I 100% can get most of the trench done outside of like a few pieces that just won't be here until hopefully before the convention happens. And 2, that means that after next week's update, I can get started on that oscillator building, because that thing is going to be massive. It's going to take so many pieces, and it's going to take quite a bit of time to do it. So I really want to go ahead and try to speed through this trench section as much as possible. That's why I made it such a point to get even as far as I have done for this update, because I wanted basically most of the trench to be done. And right now, looking at it, I can say most of the trench is actually done, which is crazy. So for the next update, you guys can hopefully expect a fully completed trench, and we're gonna really try to blitz through the rest of this MOC, guys. I really want to see this thing done. I know that you guys want to see this thing done, and the public is counting on me. The galaxy is counting on me to have this MOC done before Brick Rodeo. So one of the other things I'm probably going to do between now and the next update is actually write out a schedule, because I have a pretty good idea of what all needs to be done before the convention, and I have a very clear timeline of when it needs to be done. I'll basically write certain goals that I want to hit along the way, and see if it's even reasonably possible for me to get this MOC done before the convention. I could foresee a situation where some things on the MOC change. I don't want this to be the case. Fortunately, I have gotten done most of the things I want to do, but some of the things that I maybe wanted to do won't get done if I want to realistically have this MOC done for Brick Rodeo. That doesn't mean that the MOC won't be spectacular. Obviously, I think if I even took all the stuff that I have right now for the MOC, it would still be something special. But I still want to make sure that this MOC lives up to the hype, lives up to all the things that I set forth whenever I initially announced this MOC. I still want to uphold those things. It just might end up being tweaked a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. But that's really all I got for you guys this week. If you like what I do, go ahead, support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.